Namaskar, welcome back to Media Scan, your weekend dose of headlines, controversies and perspectives. Viewers, after days of protests, allegations and noise, finally a semblance of agreement is visible in Parliament. But this raises the question in the minds of the people, why was valuable time of the Parliament of the nation wasted when the parties finally had to agree to what was being stressed in the beginning of the session? Also, the fact that the opposition has tried to give a message of unity through certain bills in the session this time. So have they really succeeded in doing that? This and other related questions in this evening's Media Scan. Joining me, people of long-standing experience in political writing, in analysis, all of them stalwarts in their own right. I have here with me Rashid Kidwai, well-known Congress observer, author, analyst. He is known to speak his mind. Welcome back to Media Scan, Rashid Kidwai. Namaskar.
Namaste.
Also here with us, Jayanto Ghoshal, former editor, senior journalist, has been writing profusely on the opposition, on the TMC and other allies. Welcome back, Jayanto Ghoshal. Namaskar. And with me, Sanjay Singh, another senior journalist of long standing, well known for covering politics, internal securities and other current affairs. Welcome back, Sanjay Singh. Rashid Kidwai, simple question. It seems the opposition has finally relented to a discussion on Manipur, where all aspects are expected to be discussed, but they will not be insisting on the reply by the Prime Minister. Perhaps because, the no confidence motion has already been admitted and now the Home Minister will be replying to it. Now, the obvious question, sir, here is, this was what the government had offered even before the session started during the all-party meeting. Why do you think the opposition had to stick or be so maximalist in its approach in the beginning? And finally, have they relented because a kind of feedback has been received that they are being looked upon as the disruptors, whereas the government continues to get its bills passed and succeed in its legislative business? What do you think?
Thank you. As a citizen, I feel it is welcoming that the opposition is back and Parliament has started functioning. But at the same time, we must also see that kind of role that opposition and government plays, and that is a bit unfortunate because the Parliament forum is used to highlight the politics of it. We must not forget that countdown for Lok Sabha elections of 2024 has started, yes. And therefore there is a lot of posturing, and this is a result of posturing. Now the question is the opposition justified? The answer is no. But at the same time, when the BJP, when the ruling party or ruling coalition, when they were in opposition, they were doing exactly the same. So that explains this kind of unruly behavior and posturing and fighting, and then ultimately relenting. Mr. Arun Jaitley and Sushma Swaraj, both who were the leaders of the BJP in Parliament, of significance, they always said that disruption is a tool that is with the government. Now that there has been one party kind of mandate in 2014 and 19, it's been tables are being sought to turn on the opposition as if opposition is guilty of all this. But opposition also requires a space. Where was the space? So there is an element of trust deficit between government and the opposition, which I said is unfortunate in parliamentary democracy. So therefore, there a lot of fight takes place. I think the Prime Minister and Home Minister and the parliamentary thing, they have to evolve a mechanism where they reach directly to the leaders of the opposition parties within a day or two, not after a week, 10 days or a fortnight.
Fine. So two very pertinent points here, Sanjay Singh. Number one, the opposition needs a vent out. You can call it posturing if you want, as Rashid Kidwai said. But the fact remains that that is something the opposition is allowed, mostly in a parliamentary democracy. Whereas governments are usually, expected to be a little accommodative, because after all, smooth functioning of any parliament or any legislature is basically the responsibility of the treasury side. Now, Rashid Kidwai has mentioned some incidents or comments when the UPA was in power and BJP was sitting on the other side of the house. However, my question to you is, now that things are coming to a situation, do you think the remaining very few days that we have in hand, they are going to work out well? And also, Has the opposition managed to stick together so far when it comes to the question of Manipur or other things? Even if the government may have managed to get its bills passed, it doesn't really look like a very informative or healthy house when members are not allowed to make their point. They cannot raise matters of importance. And even if important bills are passed, they are passed in such a way that people hardly learn anything about them. There is so much of din. So some responsibility certainly must lie with the government. What do you say?
Smita, there are two aspects to the question that you asked. First, what Rashid Kedwai said, he is a learned man, he is a great political observer. What he said was absolutely right. But what also has to be remembered in this particular case, as to when opposition is too shrill, disrupting parliament for days, sessions after session, the people at large, they punish that particular party or that particular coalition in the elections that come.
Right.
We have example of BJP in 2009 when Congress humbled BJP in 2009 elections. The situation between 2009 and 14 changed not because BJP was obstructing parliament and what Rashid Kedwai referred to Mr. Arun Jaitley and Sushma Swaraj saying that this is a justified bona fide parliamentary tool to raise their voice. Situation changed in favor of BJP or in NDA when Modi catapulted to national scene and he gave an alternate form of governance, the kind of leadership that he was going to provide to the party and if elected to the nation. And that alternate model, given the kind of satisfaction that was there with the UPA, that translated into victory for Narendra Modi.
Yes.
Also, in 2009, if you remember, the Congress's coalition partner, alliance partners who were seen to be disrupting Manmohan Singh government or disturbing Manmohan Singh government, they were also punished. The left, the RJD and other parties. So Congress's numbers rose in Lok Sabha and their alliance partners' number decreased. So people actually see this very negatively if you go on protesting parliament session after session on some flimsy ground. Last time it was Hindenburg report, sometimes it is Rafale, sometimes it is Pegasus and sometimes something else. So if you go on doing this, if you want to discuss Manipur, it does not matter to people at large, to people of Manipur also, whether you are discussing this under Rule A or under Rule B. You are insisting that this must be discussed on Rule A and not Rule B. For people, it doesn't matter. What they want that this particular issue should be discussed. And in yesterday's reply, the Home Minister used the occasion well to also address this particular question.
Right, right. Very interesting. Jayanta Ghoshal, Sanjay Singh has given us a very interesting historical perspective of the whole thing about how people do not go so much into technicalities, the wording of the motion or the rule under which the discussion might take place. What they want is their pain, their suffering, their concern must be reflected in the House where they have sent their representatives. Willy-nilly, for whatever reason, if that doesn't happen, it is a kind of a betrayal of the people. But instead of the history, I will come to the present with you, Jayanta Da, and I'd like to ask you, you have been a keen Bengal watcher for a long time and you have been editing one of the leading media, the publications of the state. My question to you is, if there is one party which gives out the most interesting vibes in parliament currently, it is the Trinamool Congress. On the one hand, they are sworn enemies of the Congress when it comes to the state. There is so much of opposition among themselves. No day goes by when they do not level allegations on each other. At the same time, we are seeing them facing the government together, coming out to protest together while they give statements against each other. I mean, what exactly is going on here? Number one. Number two, on the question of federalism, sir, I have a very pointed query. Parties like the BJD, the YSRCP, they are also ruling important states in the country. They did not come with the opposition in the case of the Delhi Ordinance, which was being ratified as a bill. If they do not think this is a question of attack on federalism, why would the others think like that? Why is this difference in the perspective?
Smita ji, it is true that it is a major dialectical conflict between Congress and TMC, and not only Congress and TMC. It's a very difficult situation for Jagan and Chandrababu. Both are supporting BJP, and they will fight. They have to fight the loggerhead in Andhra. So the number one, in West Bengal, you cannot disconnect opposition politics from parliament and the in your state provincial compulsion. You cannot
Precisely.
disconnect, because here Congress and TMC and all other opposition parties, it's a highly complicated, from Uddhav Thackeray to Naxalite Dipankar Bhattacharya. I don't know what type of coalition it will be. But in West Bengal, till today, the state president Adhir Chaudhary is saying on record that after the Karnataka Vijay, the corrupt BJP government will be removed. Now our main goal is to oust the corrupt Didi's government. So you will abuse TMC, and now Congress and Communist and Indian Secular Front, this alliance, they have not said yet that whether this alliance will continue in 2024 or not. And my perception, it will continue, as Sitaram Yechuri also said it. But Congress didn't react when Sitaram Yechuri also criticized Mamata Banerjee. So, one hand, you will criticize the panchayat violence. The other side, you have to oust Modi. Now, the question is, 2024 is not assembly election. It is the election whether Narendra Modi will continue or not. And Modi, Amit Shah, this is, I call it a Leviathan. You have to combat in a 1:1 mindset. Whether it will be achieved or not, that's a very difficult. In Delhi, 7 seats. Is Congress ready to give these 7 seats to Kejriwal? Or will Congress, Ajay Maken will be happy getting 1 seat? So this Mamata Banerjee, Nitish Kumar, Sharad Pawar, they suggested that 6 states like Punjab, Delhi, UP, Bihar, Telangana and West Bengal, you should leave this. Congress is saying from Pachmari, Rashid Kidwai knows perhaps more than me, that from Pachmari, that is the main question, that Congress is a pan-Indian party, 543 seats. Why should we compromise? Why should we surrender to the coalition partners and the regional parties? So when the formation of the government will take place, Congress cannot be the vanguard. Congress cannot be the main character to form the government.
So
and
then,
Modi,
then the obvious question,
he's a
Jayanta,
popular
the
leader of
obvious
this country.
question that arises is, when these are all the concerns and contradictions, how will they come to an agreement? So in one line, quickly, what do you think is going to happen right now after the parliament session? Let us hold for the final Lok Sabha for the time being. You think they will stick together once this session is over? They'll have common ground, the fear of the Leviathan, as you said?
Parliament, and I told you that parliament politics and your outside parliament politics cannot be disconnected. But this time, I think the strategy of BJP is to keep patience and to delay is the best way to address the discontent of the opposition. And now opposition has accepted the discussion and Prime Minister will give reply. So what the big opposition politics will remain after this parliament session, because you have to come to the street eventually.
Fine. So let's ask
whether
Rashid
opposition
Kidwai what
will
he
remain
thinks.
united
Yes,
in all these provinces.
Jayantada, I'll come back to you.
That has to be seen.
Yes.
In parliament, it is true. But one positive side of the opposition, that this sort of solidarity was also not seen just few months back.
Fine,
So
fine.
now they have
Yes,
realized
let me ask
that
Jayantada,
we
let
have
me ask
to
Rashid
unite.
Kidwai
The
what he
sense
thinks.
the sense of unity
Yes.
has come.
Rashid Kidwai, it's true what Jayanta Ghoshal is saying, that, you know, if we look at what was happening a few months ago, the kind of far wide differences and the so many contradictions, the fact that the opposition has come together by itself is no mean achievement. And this is what people have been writing and commenting about Bengaluru or even about Patna. So my point now here is, what do you think will happen? Because here about the no confidence motion, everybody knows the government was not going to fall or anything. The motion is supposed to be defeated. But still, the point was how much of the opposition bloc the alliance is able to bring together so that a message of challenge can be given. Even on that point, I don't think there is much success to record here, because some of the major regional formations are not going to support it, which means the opposition alliance is finding it difficult even to convince the opposition partners, forget about the NDA alliance. So in that light, do you think it was wise to bring this no confidence motion at this stage? For example, some commentators have written that if all the opposition alliance also doesn't vote together, it might actually become counterproductive. Do you suspect some such thing might happen?
Yes, I'm glad you asked this question. Our politics is very interesting and it's very vibrant. See, we have three kind of political parties. There are political parties which are of course national, like Congress and the BJP and some other, and the left parties. They fancy themselves, they don't have numbers. There are regional parties, and there are which have national ambition, like Trinamool Congress and several other political parties, that BRS. Then we have regional parties who are happy to be regional parties like YSR Congress, BJD, etc. So therefore, this is a very interesting interplay, and accordingly they are playing. See, to say that the opposition is chaotic is...
Okay, that prompts me. What do you think the BRS is going to do? Officially, they are not going to be with the government on the no confidence. But then, people say till the vote has been cast, we should not make any predictions.
Yes, so I think this no confidence in any case is a foregone conclusion, because the numbers are very much heavily on that. I think every political party or formation within the, so to say, that INDIA, India Alliance, and those who are outside this, there are 5-6 political parties like, BRS, BJD, YSR Congress, etc.,
yes,
who are not taking side of either the NDA or the INDA Alliance. So therefore, but it's not that they are indifferent. They are fancying their chance. They are basically going to be with the winning side. So in that case, every political party, allow me to say this, is a bit opportunistic. I mean, you look at the NDA. NDA is a very intact, a very vibrant, very politically influential. But what did we see in the 18th of July? 38 political parties are brought together. This also, tells, if Mr. Modi is, and as he rightly says also, Ek Modi Sab Pe Bhari, then what is the need to bring these 38 political parties? So therefore, I think this is all a build-up for Lok Sabha, and that is where we are seeing all this. The no confidence motion, the single agenda is to highlight, what was happening in Manipur and was not known, whether it was a, unfortunate that alleged rape case or so. So therefore, what was happening in May was not discussed, so to say, the national platform. So therefore, this motion has been brought.
So let me ask Sanjay Singh. Sanjay Singh, it's right that Manipur came, the unfortunate incidents in Manipur, particularly that video which has, sort of acted as a trigger, that became an excuse for people to raise the point in Parliament. But had this not happened, even then, we were seeing a very clear consolidation of powers right before, just ahead of the monsoon session. And Rashid Kidwai has a point when he says that, you see, if Narendra Modi is unchallenged and completely, invincible, why did the alliance formation in the opposition bloc prompt the NDA to suddenly, fish out for more allies and bring them together, hold that meeting? Certainly, even if we say that the NDA is not scared, it has prompted the government, the BJP, to pull up its socks, which means this is a tough challenge, whether the BJP likes to admit it or not.
That's an interesting question and also an interesting argument. In fact, if you are a good student or if you are in wrestling arena, and howsoever strong you are, if you are going to be in Olympics or Commonwealth Games or World Championship, I think you should do some exercise and some kind of mock trial runs also. You should not be complacent. BJP is that kind of a player which is never complacent in its game. People are aware that Rajiv Gandhi with 400 plus seats lost next elections. Indira Gandhi happened same, and there's so many other examples. So you cannot be complacent with your last previous numbers. Now coming to the second part of it, as to there is before elections, in the run-up to elections are fought in two parts. In the run-up of elections, there is psychological war in terms of numbers, in terms of your strength in terms of rhetoric, in terms of narrative, and B, when actual polling happens on the ground, the realities of ground take over from the hype that you have created. Is otherwise we have seen as to some kind of hype A is created and party B wins in different elections. We have seen in state after state this kind of situation happening. So when you talk about numbers, Patna में 19 पार्टियां थी, Bangalore आते आते 26 पार्टियां होंगी. When you weave into this kind of narrative that everybody is coming to us, then obviously NDA under leadership of PM Modi and Amit Shah will also weave some kind of narrative that you have only 26, look, we have 38, 39. When you say that, same thing happened when opposition was boycotting parliament, inauguration of new parliament building. They hyped the number that we have 16 political parties which are going to boycott inauguration of new parliament building. I think that was not a right move for any sensible political party. Parliament, after all, is your temple of democracy. And making that whole controversy around Sangol, I think that also did not occur well for the opposition. Then NDA came out with numbers that we have 26 political parties which are attending this particular inauguration of new parliament building. So therefore, this is also that game of numbers. About the federal structure and so on, other things that you're talking about. Well, you can weave any kind of narrative you want to weave. Fact remains that Delhi was never a state. Delhi was half a state. Not even exactly a half a state because union capital is here. The other part that you are talking about,
yes, quickly, sir.
In terms of no confidence motion, opposition, to my assessment, has made a huge favor to Prime Minister Narendra Modi by bringing no confidence motion, because if you bring no confidence motion, it is not only the Manipur, everything under the sun which opposition can bring, and anything that Prime Minister can bring out to respond to the challenges or the issues raised by the opposition. So this is a self-goal. To my understanding, the opposition has made a self-goal in terms of weaving a narrative. If they want to discuss it,
Let me ask Jayanta Ghoshal. Jayanta Ghoshal, we already have a precedent here. In 2018, a no confidence motion was brought by another party which is not even with the opposition anymore. That was a different context. But the point remains that no matter on what excuse a no confidence is moved on the floor of Lok Sabha, the government gets an opportunity to highlight, to amplify all it has done, particularly when it comes around the fag end of its term, and that willy-nilly sort of consolidates and builds the trust for the leadership which we saw happening in 2018. Now, in that background, Manipur was a once issue. It was a one incident, or we can say one set of incidents which could have been discussed under any rule, and we are finally doing that now. Why do you think the opposition took this maximalist position of a no confidence motion just because they wanted prime ministers to speak? And also, as Sanjay Singh said, do you agree it might become a self goal, if not already?
I think that BJP is I call it 303 government. So this huge number BJP already has achieved. Everybody knows that it is not possible to oust the government through the no confidence motion.
Then why? But
the opposition parties, they are thinking that outside parliament in different states, there is no unity. Akhilesh and Congress in Uttar Pradesh, Kejriwal and Punjab, in different, and I already discussed West Bengal. In Andhra also I mentioned. So in this scenario, it is better they can consolidate, and who will be their partners, whether Farooq Abdullah, National Conference, because remember, National Conference also first reacted that in 370, Kejriwal and several parties, they didn't support us.
Correct.
Why should he go for the conclave? So later Sharad Pawar called Farooq Abdullah and lot of, so actually it's a for opposition, it is good if they can consolidate. But for my perception that, on Manipur especially, it's a long story, but I want to cut the story that when the video came, after that visual effect, it has become an issue. But before that, was there any movement across, even in the Bangalore meeting also,
True.
Was there any resolution on Manipur? Was there any discussion on the Manipur issue? And my personal perception that still there is a sense of alienation. Even I am from West Bengal, I know that lot of people from West Bengal, they don't know who are the chief minister of 8 states. If you ask, they
Point
cannot
taken.
say.
Point taken. I think,
Till
Jayanpada,
today, so
the reason.
actually it has
Yes.
become a political issue, and for opposition unity, they thought that it can be an issue.
Fine,
But
fine.
I don't know whether the consequence after parliament to the streets, to the provinces, whether it will sustain. And what Prime Minister will say on 10, that also I don't know.
But gentlemen, I'll have to wrap it up at this point because, and we'll have to see that at least at the fag end of the session, we are not only seeing bills getting passed, but discussions have started already in the middle of this week, and next week it's going to be a lot of discussions throughout. Let us wait and see how it goes. We shall perhaps get together again to see the end of the session and what was the political messaging. Meanwhile, thank you very much, Rashid Kidwai, for joining us. You have always been so gracious to come on the show. Thank you once again. Jayanta Ghoshal, thank you, Dada. I'll get back to you again in one of these days. And as always, thanks to Sanjay Singhvi for joining this discussion at a short notice. Thank you very much, gentlemen. All eyes will now be on the no confidence motion to be tabled in the middle of next week. People are waiting to see what the Prime Minister wants to say to the opposition. Will it be a list of achievements, or will there be some very interesting political messages as he is always known to give? Also, what will be the points being put out by the opposition? Will it stick to Manipur? Certainly not. At the same time, as our guests have pointed out, everybody knows the numbers are not with the opposition, but certainly the opposition leadership is perhaps seeing some political dividends in bringing this motion. But will it turn out to be an excuse to remain together, to make people think about their ideas, their options, or will it turn out to be a self-goal? On that note, we'll get back to you on Media Scan next weekend. Till then, namaskar.